Hey guys, welcome to the final match of Group F in the MSL Arena MSL Group F. This is going to be between Light and Savior on Othello, and it'll be really interesting. Last match, obviously, Final Fantasy dropping out, but I was very impressed. Looks like Light's going to be starting in the upper left-hand corner, about the 11 o'clock position in blue. Savior starting in the bottom right-hand corner in yellow. Hope you guys and we'll see how this goes. I think Light's a very strong player. I think he's very capable of coming out with this, especially. But he hasn't been playing well lately either. Actually, he ended up throwing a game to Boxer. Obviously, he ended up losing to Firebat Hero, and actually getting just read like a book actually by Firebat Hero. We'll see how he ends up playing out in this match. I'm really curious how this will play. I trying to remember if I've seen a Zerg versus Terran yet on Othello.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen many Zerg versus Terrans on this map either. I've seen Jaedong play on this map. That was versus Protoss. And excuse me, we saw him go for a 3 hatchery build there. Obviously, I think this map is probably more in Zerg's favor than a map like Colosseum, because at least on this map there are enough open spaces in the middle of the map to allow, excuse me, for some flanking and maneuverability. I'm getting the hiccups here. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so yeah, Light is a good player. I don't know if Savior is good enough right now to beat Light. I think it's more. Excuse me. I think this game is going to be decided more by Savior's form than by Light's, personally.
While you
Sorry?
take care of the hiccups there? Do you want to hand it over while you're taking care of your hiccups on that?
Yeah. Go.
I'm telling you, if you hold your breath and squeeze your stomach, it forces air back up your diaphragm, takes care of it every time. The one thing about this is there is a nice, easy-to-hold expansion for Zerg. There basically you can get a third base. It's just north, or I should say, just north of. Is it just north of Savior's base? It's kind of to the west actually a little bit, but you can basically have connecting creep from your secondary almost, and it's really nice and easy to hold. So it looks like he's actually going for, I think that was a 12 hatch build. Wasn't paying complete attention actually because he's trying to look at the map alongside to remind myself. In the meantime, we'll see what Light can do as well. Easy to hold secondary, but past that, you kind of have to extend yourself. Although he is a Terran player, and usually you can do pretty well on a kind of a bio build out of 2, but if Savior basically can weather that initial kind of push from the Medic Marines and kind of push it into that mid-late game, I think he's going to end up taking it as a result. Looks like Light in the meantime, he's starting to scout kind of clockwise, coming across the Overlord, so I think he's going to get an idea of where Savior's base is. Yeah, now realizing where he is, going to push it alongside. But anyway, I'll be interested to see how Light plays this. And I also think this is a very Savior-esque map, because there's a lot of open room to kind of maneuver units, and I think that's where he plays very strong, when he has a lot of opportunities to kind of flank with units and push things in between, to move Zerglings across the map, and just kind of that big unit kind of macro, not with spellcasting like we see with Jangvi, but just kind of just pure movement. I think that's why he did get the pure name of the Maestro, is just because the way he orchestrates large groups of units. In the meantime, I actually wouldn't be surprised to see a 3 hatchery build, but I think he's already got a spawning pool down here in the background. Yeah, there's actually the 3rd hatchery. I'm not sure if we've seen a spawning pool yet, but definitely going for a 3 hatchery build. And now Marine pushing down for Light. And the big distance on this map, Light actually going for a fast expand. We'll see if Savior is going to be able to spot this out. And this, again, seeing the fast expansion versus Zerg, we saw Firebat, we saw Firebat Hero do it first. Spawning pool was down. But I'm kind of curious whether we're going to see what we're going to see to do against this, because this has been very effective for Terran players versus Zerg, and I'm curious how kind of Zerg players are going to adjust against this.
I think the key is not taking too much of an early hit economically from those early pushing Marines, and also not excuse me, not being forced to pull too many drones off the line. I think the fact that this is cross map is going to play in Savior's favor. Also the fact that he put the spawning pool down before he went for that 3rd hatchery. So he went 12 hatch, spawning pool hatch. So I think that's going to put Savior in a decent position. He's also the fact that he scouted that expansion very early on in this game, and that's going to allow him to focus his strategy accordingly. Savior looks like he is going to be I think he's going to be in a strong position. He's now got a group of Zerglings out. Firebat Hero doesn't have a lot of Marines. He's got a couple of Marines and an SCV, and he might be caught a little bit out of position. He's managed to get about 4 Marines on his ramp. He's got another couple of Marines. He's got about 6 Marines, and now putting down engineering base straight away. So going for very early for that engineering bay and getting the academy down. So it looks like he's going to go for that kind of +1 Medic and Marine push, and I think Savior might find himself in a little bit of trouble to defend that. Savior already starting his lair tech. Firebat Hero obviously had the early scout in. Savior looks like he's starting to take the 2nd gas as well. So this will be interesting whether or not Savior is going to actually be able to withstand. Looks like Firebat Hero, looks like Light feels that if he can break that that the key for him here is to break Savior's defense with his first push. And I think it's been a long time since we've seen a Terran player actually attempt to break his opponent's defense with his first medic and marine push. Most Terran players are content to just pressure the opponent and have them sunken. But I think that Light has really put his eggs into doing some damage with that first medic and marine push, even though he's gone for the command center. I think that command center, the fact that the command center is there is gonna make Savior not realize, or make Savior not be able to guess the fact that his opponent would have got that engineering bay up and will have that +1 upgrade so early on in the game. Second and third racks now starting up for Light.
I'd actually say this is becoming kind of standard. We saw Firebat Hero do this in his victory in Pro League versus Savior, and now, as you can see, Savior's got that layer up. We'll see if, I'm going to assume that he's going to go with the Mutalisk because he hasn't put down the Hydralisk down. There's the Spire now. But really what the key, I think, is going to be for Savior to spot out those Marines coming quickly and destroying that map artifact, so he can, Light destroying that map artifact so he can move units more easily across the map. And it looks like he's going to go for a bunker bust right now. But that bunker bust comes, I think, a little bit sooner and against normal Zerg players, and I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Zerg kind of feel it out. But I think because it gives such an economic boost early, and Savior, as you can see, he's only got the 2 Sun Colonies down. He needs to get the 3rd. Looks like the Zerglings are going to be in a position, though, to see that coming down. But in the meantime, Light is going to be able to get that scout down. He is going to be able to see that the Spire is up. And it looks like he's going to hold up in the meantime. He's just going to try to take that economic advantage. Maybe he's waiting for the range upgrade here. In the meantime, maybe that range upgrade is kind of a critical, or maybe, I'm not sure if it's range or stim pack, if he went for the early weapons 1 over stim, something to that effect. We'll see. But anyway, I've seen this a couple times, and I think this is starting to become the standard for Terran. And Savior being very risky. He's just going to rely that Light isn't going to scout out that 6 o'clock position. Savior does not have enough units on the ground to really defend that at the moment. And if Light gets a comms set or something, if he scouts that out, I don't think there's any way that Savior can really scout it, can really defend it. But with this quick expansion build, it really allows players like Light, like Firebat Hero to put on pressure early and to consistently put pressure up and keep the pressure up, even as they're getting science vessels. They never really have to absorb an attack, really. And we'll see, actually, it looks like the Mutals are being produced right now. The question is one kind of a thing, we didn't even see Firebat Hero produce turrets, and it looks like we are seeing Light produce turrets. I'm kind of curious how effective this Mutals harass will be, but I think this Mutals harass is going to be especially important because keep in mind Light's economy has just been going extremely strong. Looks like he's going to be well prepared with turrets across the map, so he's just going to have to, Savior, it's going to be so important that he picks off some Marines, some medics out in the field, maybe even that Firebat, if he's going to basically stay in this game. But in the meantime, Light, I'm surprised, still, wow, hasn't spotted that 6 o'clock location, hasn't put any pressure on it. He's just continuing to build up.
Yeah, again, interesting choice of strategy. I think you've got to be a little bit more aggressive than this. I think that he's just relying on the fact that Savior's Mutalisk harass isn't that effective, that he hasn't been as sharp as he could be, and I think that Light is relying a little bit to some extent on that. He's now getting that SCV scouting around in the middle of the map, trying to find that 3rd gas of Savior. Savior's going to take that SCV out with his Zerglings. That supply depot is going to come under fire from Savior, though now it looks like Light is ready to move out. He's got about 2 full groups of Medic and Marines and Firebats. Savior, meanwhile, his force, his Mutalisk focused on that supply depot. He's not going to see those forces. It might be a little bit too late. Now Savior's getting the 2nd and 3rd sunken up. He's got a Hydralisk 10 up, but I think this bunker bust is going to be critical here. I'm not sure if Savior, even when he brings the Mutalisk back, is going to be able to cope. He really needs to slow that group of Medic and Marines down a little bit with his Mutalisk, try and pick some of them off because the medics are away from it. So now Savior coming in with the Mutalisk, Light bunching up his units just in time. Looks like he's stemmed them up. He's continuing to push forward, and Savior has got 3 Sunkens up. It's clearly not enough to hold the line. It's clearly not enough to defend that 6 o'clock expansion. And I think it might be possible that Light had scouted that expansion earlier, but wanted to give Savior the impression he hadn't by staying in his base for longer, and so that when he did push out, Savior would not be able to cope. Looks like Savior's gone for another expansion at the 630 position. Savior's got a group of Zerglings as well. Looks like and exactly what Light is heading for. Light is heading for that 6 o'clock expansion, and Savior's going to really struggle to defend this here with his Mutalisk. He's managed to pick off a couple of Marines, but not much more than that. He picks off another Marine with his Mutalisk. I'm not sure. I don't think he's lost any Mutalisk so far. Light just pausing to replenish those. Looks like Light is going for the 630 expansion. I think Savior's 6 o'clock expansion might have escaped notice. It might just be that Light has scouted the 630. We're going to go into the first one, and Light, that's critical here. Light has not scouted the 6 o'clock expansion. He's only scouted the 630, which is why he's focusing on that. And that expansion is the easier one for Savior to defend because there's a ramp up there. Light now trying to barrel up that ramp. He's managed to get the Firebat up there, but Savior's managed to hold the Marines off his Mutalisk. Brilliant Mutalisk micro by Savior. He's killed a lot of Marines. He lost a couple of Mutalisks in the process, but he's actually managed to significantly reduce the size of Light's forces. But Light is going to get in and probably take that expansion out. I don't think it's going to hurt Savior too much though if he loses this expansion, because he does have that expansion at the 6 o'clock position, and Savior realizes that it looks like Savior's going to go for a counter punch here. Massive group of Zerglings coming up with the Mutalisk in support. I'm not sure what Light has in defense. Light is going to be forced to pull back half of his forces, but He actually is going to get a fire off in a couple of minutes, but Light has got no defense, he's got no bunkers up, unfortunately for him. Seaver's going to get those Zerglings in and amongst those Marines. Seaver bringing the Mutalisks right on top, he's taking some fire from those turrets as well. He's going to lose all of his Mutalisks, unfortunately. Light with a great SCV block is going to actually be able to defend this attack. Light thwarts Seaver's attack, Seaver committing himself to that attack. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to break through. Great defending by Light. He had those Mutalisks, unfortunately for Seaver. I think Seaver really overcommitted himself there, and now Seaver's going to be in trouble because Light's going to be able to push out very strongly, and Seaver's not going to have a lot to hold out against this push. And I think that was a little bit too bold, a little bit too brash by Seaver. I think he's going to pay the price for it by losing this game. Seaver now getting the hive up, but he's got nothing on the ground whatsoever to delay this push from Light, and I think this push is going to break Seaver's back. Seaver getting another expansion up at the 1230 position. We are seeing something interesting on this map with so many different places where a Zerg can hide their expansions. That does give them a little bit of a chance. Seaver just trying to buy himself some time with those lurkers, but I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to do much. Light is going to be able to set up a siege here. Seaver's hive is still building. Seaver trying to get a couple of Zerglings through. He's managed to get a group of Zerglings out. I think he's going to just try and intercept the siege tanks. That expansion at the 6 o'clock position remains hidden, remains concealed, and that is certainly to his advantage. And it's also in a flanking position to this Medic and Marine fireback group, and looks like Saber's going to try and pincer it here. Light hasn't pushed out with the siege tanks. The siege tanks aren't there in support. Saber's got lurkers and Sunkens there in defense. Looks like that expansion at the 1230 position, roughly 1 o'clock position, is going to get spotted. Savior now building the Defiler Mound. It's just a question of whether he can delay those siege tanks from arriving, and when that science vessel pops out for his opponent. Looks like Light sending a group of Marines up to the top towards that expansion at the 1 o'clock position, trying to take it out. Savior's got a massive group of Zerglings though, so I think he's going to be able to anticipate and defend this successfully. There are no medics, there are only Marines, and they're going to get taken out by these Zerglings, speed upgrade Zerglings, taking out those. And it looks like Light is actually heading around from the south. He's going to get that tank intercept. Savior can take out the scene, and this is going to be absolutely critical. Unfortunately, Savior had those lurkers unburrowed at a critical point in time. Light's now got a medic arriving to support that group of Marines heading up towards the 1030 position in the north, but Savior's going to intercept that. Meanwhile, it looks like he's gotten a siege tank through, so we're going to be seeing a push here. Savior's going to be in a position to possibly pincer this, and it's going to come down to this one big fight. If Savior can survive this, I think he can win this game.
Wow, yeah, I don't think he's going to survive it, though, because that is a huge grouping of Medic Marines. They are range upgraded. Wow, catching those lurkers before the road. Nice kill, though. Light, I'm surprised he didn't draw those Medic Marines back instead of pushing them up, and Savior doing an excellent job unburrowing those lurkers, bringing them back. And now, wow, this is an interesting dual kind of pincer maneuver from Light. He's not committing a lot of troops to the north. He's not committing, but it lost a lot of his troops to the south, so it looks like Savior is going to be able to hold out. I'm still surprised that he hasn't scouted out that 6 o'clock location. Guess he wasn't expecting Savior to take that mineral only, really. Or if he did, I guess he's just not concerned about it, really more concerned about the gas. Holding very well there with that Medic Marine bunch around the tanks, but now the tanks, as you can see, continuing to bust in. There is a lurker alongside, though, and we'll see if it gets enough energy, just waiting for Consume. This is going to be close. It's going to come down to whether Consume is researched or not. If he can get Consume up and just get a couple Dark Swarm there to defend in between, that's going to be the difference between holding here and absolutely crumbling, and just waiting alongside. This is going to be razor thin. Now that 6 o'clock location finally being spotted out, nothing to defend that for Savior. That's going to be taken out, but again, I think at more point, I think it's more critical here. Oh, wow, now Consume's finished. Now Dark Swarm at the front might be able to get these tanks out. Science Vessel going to go down. That's huge. And Lurker's just pushing these tanks back. Has lost that hatchery at the 6 o'clock location. Running out of breath there. But that north, that more critically, I think that base to the north is still up. It looks like the drone's heading there. But I don't know how Savior's going to hold that. I think maybe he has a Nidus Canal up in that range. But yeah, he's got to hold that. He's got to get that gas up. He does have his hive up. But in the meantime, Light just bleeding troops here left and right to these Lurkers. These Lurkers going down slowly. But Savior has held. And now I think he's in a pretty strong position if he can hold that. If he can just somehow get troops to the north and just really defend that northern base and that additional gas.
Savior in a little bit of trouble here. He's left the back door open for Light to sneak in and do massive damage to his economy. He's going to be forced to pull his units back. Light doing a great job. Savior did have that Nidus Canal up in his natural expo to export units to that expansion in the north at the 1030 position. But if Savior loses that Nidus, it's going to be very difficult for him to defend. He's going to lose a lot of drones here. He's pulling back those lurkers. He might be able to get those lurkers just back in time. Loses one of the lurkers. The second lurker coming under fire. Savior trying to use the drones to cushion that lurker. Getting the Defiler back, but not having the energy to do anything. There's only 4 Marines there. Savior does have some defense up on that north base, but critically he's losing a lot of units here. He's managed to get a swarm up, but he has no units to actually defend that base. He's decided to burrow the lurkers and keep the lurkers up at the north. He's got a couple of Zerglings coming out, so he's going to be able to take out these Marines now. Light not moving the units out in time. He's moving a couple of Marines back, but Light's got a reinforcement driving against Savior. Unfortunately, he looked like he was in a very strong position, but he just made a small error. He has got a couple of lurkers there, both those lurkers getting irradiated. Savior managed to get a swarm off outside of his choke to defend those lurkers. Light, meanwhile, has got a drop off with his dropship, a group of Medic Marines and a single firebat just behind the mineral line of that expansion. expansion north. Meanwhile, he's keeping Savior busy in his main, and Savior really cannot afford to lose expansion. Savior has got those lurkers down. Light getting the scan off, but I don't know if he has enough to really break both those lurkers despite the scan. He doesn't have enough in terms of ground forces. Looks like Light has actually broken through. Meanwhile, Savior's main, and Savior's in huge trouble. He's actually going to lose his main here, and that's going to be GG right there. I think this is going to be GG right here, Diggity. I think Savior's going to go out, and unfortunately for Savior, he made one mistake. He pushed out too soon versus, and Savior GG's. He pushed out too soon versus those tanks, trying to kill Light's tanks, forgetting about the fact that Light had a large ground force down at the 6 o'clock position, and Light was able to use those medic and marines, sneak into Savior's base, and that was it. That was the point that changed the game, and Savior could have... I think Savior should have played a little bit more defensively there, unfortunately. Once he broke that, he should have waited a little bit more to get his troops together. Good play by Savior, better play by Light. Interesting map. I think it's going to make for some good Terran versus Zerg play. But that came right down to the wire, and Savior, I think that one mistake cost him the game. GG, well played by Light. He looks more distraught than Savior. I think at this stage, losing is becoming unfortunately a habit for Savior, and he's not really as affected by it. But Light obviously overwhelmed to be going through. So 2 Terrans going through this group. I suppose when you've got 3 Terrans, you anticipate that at least one will go through. More Terrans in the next round of the MSL. But GG, I guess. I kind of feel bad for Savior, but I'm used to seeing him lose at this point, and it doesn't hurt.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for listening, and yeah, wow, go check out SC2GG otherwise. A lot of commentary up there. Light almost looks sick there, I would say, interestingly enough. I wonder if he was actually playing sick there, because yeah, it looks like he's got a fever. He's got that nose sniffle, as you can see. He's kind of rubbing his nose and whatnot. Looks really almost distraught to be finished there. Anyway, but he'll be advancing alongside Firebat Hero there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
정말 최선을 다했던 이재호 선수의 모습이었고요. 네, 결국은 그 대가를 가지게 됐습니다.
예, 해처리 하나 내주고 저글링 다수와 함께 미네랄 멀티가 있었으니까 미네랄 멀티에서 충원되는 미네랄을 바탕으로 다수의 저글링과 뮤탈리스크로 상대방의 앞마당 쪽에 데미지를